and welcome to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic, where over the next 30 minutes we're going to be answering more of your holiday, cruise and travel related questions. In today's programme we're going to be discussing guided travel and tours around the world. So if you want to get in touch with us, here's how. Our website is www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Click on Programmes, select the clinic page and submit your questions to us online, that way through the website. If you want to email us directly, you can do as well to clinic@holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk or by post as well to the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool L22 5NG. Now, guided tours can be a way of seeing the world like never before, taking you off the beaten track. They can allow you to experience sights and sounds that otherwise may have gone unnoticed. But where can we explore? And probably most importantly, will they cost me an arm and a leg to take in the first place? Well, here to tell us more and to answer all our questions today is Raj Mistry from Collette Worldwide Holidays. Raj, welcome along to the programme.
Thank you, Phil.
Tell me a little bit about what is an escorted holiday, first of all.
Well, an escorted holiday is really an opportunity for somebody to explore a destination and with somebody else looking after them and getting the chance to immerse themselves in an area, getting to see things that they wouldn't normally see if they were doing things independently, and using the expert knowledge of a guide and a company's expertise to see a destination in the fullest.
Okay, so immediately it says to me, being quite an independent-minded person,
Sure.
Am I going to be fussed over and taken to places where I don't want to go, or am I going to be given a bit of freedom as well?
Well, you get that freedom as well, and that's certainly with some companies you get the freedom and flexibility to explore a destination on your own, as well as having that guided part, so you see the area, see the destination for what it has to offer, but then also, like most British travellers, they are very much independent, so they want to see and explore the area. And that's what an escorted tour allows you to do.
Now, you're involved in the travel industry, working for Collette Worldwide.
Yeah.
Are you really interested, particularly in that kind of holiday? Was that what brought you to this area of the travel industry?
Yes and no, but the escorted tour market is a wonderful area where at least you can explore, like I said, explore the area. But the touring market was something that I never looked at. But when you see what you can see, certainly with the right company, you get all the experience that you would want from a local guide, but also you get the opportunity to see a destination that you wouldn't normally see, and that's something that I've really enjoyed with the company I've been with.
I can see that seems to be one of the unique selling points there.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about Collette Worldwide, because it's not a company that I'm familiar with.
Sure. Well, they're a family-owned business, been established 93 years now. They started off in America, and the name Collette comes from the founder, Jack Collette, who had to live in warmer climates after the First World War, and so he started doing bus trips from Boston to Florida. Prices at the time were $69 with everything included, hotels, meals, but since then, as you know, economy has gone up, but the philosophy of the business hasn't changed, and that's the key thing of what we do at Collette Worldwide, is that we look at having good hotels, good sightseeing and wonderful inclusions.
Well, this is one of the questions that I enjoy asking my guests, because it's all about where you've been with the company. It's your chance to gloat a little bit, to tell us a little bit about where you take tours to and where you've actually, purely for professional reasons, I'm sure, gone along with them.
Sure. Well, I've been very fortunate with the company. I've travelled to 6 continents. I've travelled extensively throughout North America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Asia, Africa. My favourite places have been places like New Zealand, Costa Rica, Vietnam, Cambodia, various places like that, and Africa is certainly close to my heart. But certainly, recently I was very fortunate to go back to New Zealand after many years, not only to see that the country's still in what it is, but also to see that it really hasn't changed, and it's a wonderful, wonderful country.
Yeah, it sounds like a particular favourite, that one, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can see that. What about Mrs. Mistry and the family then? You know, as somebody who takes a personal holiday as well as professional holiday, you know, is this popular with the family too?
Yes, I mean, I've certainly taken Mrs. Mystery, should I say, but my son, Master Mystery hasn't yet had chance yet, but Mr. Mystery has chanced to travel on 2 or 3 of our tours.
And it
yes.
went down okay, did it?
Absolutely. She was a bit nervous, like most travellers would be on an escorted tour. She wasn't too sure what to expect, but once she saw what we did, what we had, certainly one of her key experiences was when we were in China, when we, after doing the Hutongs tour in Beijing, we went and had lunch with a Chinese family in their home, and even to this day she still talks about that as being one of her key highlights when she went to China. Because
that would give you something that you wouldn't come across on your regular package holiday, or indeed your you know, if you're doing things a little bit more exotically, planning your own itinerary.
Absolutely, and that's something what we look for, and certainly with the company I've been with, Collette Worldwide, they've what we look at is trying to find the immersion experiences, something that you're not going to find everywhere. For example, when I went to New Zealand again this year, one of the things that we do is we have time with a local New Zealand family. We have dinner with them in their home. They get a chance to take us places that we wouldn't normally see on a tour. And if we want to, you can actually stay with them as well. And the family I spent time with, their ancestors were originally from North Yorkshire, and that was nice reminiscing, because that's not far from where I grew up.
Yeah, I suppose that could go one of 2 ways, really, couldn't it? Because you go as far as you can to New Zealand, and then you think, oh, you meet somebody who's got relatives in Yorkshire. But I suppose as British people, you know, we've travelled quite a lot in our past, haven't we?
Absolutely, and that's been the greatest part, is when we've the ancestors have travelled, they've settled in different countries. That's what's allowed us to get out there and see other destinations, and certainly that's what, for me, New Zealand was one of the great attractions. But certainly when you travel, you certainly realise that the British have travelled quite extensively and settled in places where we've really get a chance to see it in their full beauty. Okay, and if we're looking at travelling with a group, is it going to be a small group, or are we going to be with the masses, you know, and bust around? How does it work? That's a good question. Certainly in terms of some of our more adventurous destinations like Costa Rica, Vietnam, Cambodia, Ecuador, Galapagos, those type of destinations, we are looking at travelling with smaller groups, anything between 16 to 24 people. And then you go to the mainstream products, what we classify as our more popular tours, things like the Canadian Rockies, New England's and the Canyonlands. We generally take about 40, 44 people, and it's not big enough, but not small, not too big or too small, but nice party of travellers. Right number. And the tour manager really takes over and gives that destination the fullest it can. Okay, we'll stay right there, Raj, because I want to talk to you in a few moments' time about combining an escorted tour with a cruise holiday as well. So we'll be discussing that in part 2. And more in part 2, as I say, coming up with Raj on today's clinic. But if we've already whetted your appetite at the aspect of exploring the world with a guided tour, and you like the idea of travelling to your chosen destination by cruise, and let's face it, who wouldn't, then our handy cruise guides could be just for you. We've got a new one here, first time guide to family cruising, as well as a general guide with different questions and answers in there as well. Calls will cost just 10p a minute, and the number to call is 0871 423 4444. That's if you're phoning from a BT landline. Calls from other networks and mobiles may vary. Really useful couple of publications, really good questions and answers in there that you're probably thinking about right now. Well, time for us to take a quick break from the chatting just for now, but do stay with us. We'll be back with Raj and myself in just a few minutes. Welcome back to today's edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. Don't forget, our travel experts are on hand to answer all your holiday, cruise and travel related questions. So if you want to get in touch with us, here's how. Our website is a good place to start. It's www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. You can ask questions to us through the website by clicking on Programmes, selecting the clinic page and submitting your questions to us online there. You can also email us directly to clinic@holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, or by post the conventional way to the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG.
Now back to today's clinic, and Raj Mistry from Collette Worldwide Holidays is still with me. Raj, interesting what we would, I hinted at before we went to the break there about combining a cruise with an escorted holiday, because maybe if it's your first time on an escorted holiday, you might not want to devote all the time to doing it just to see if it's right for you. Is that a good idea, do you think, combining things?
Absolutely, and certainly we find more and more people are extending their holidays, and cruise is a great opportunity whether you do it pre or post tour. And certainly we find that certain destinations like the Canadian Rockies, people are adding in doing the Alaska cruise, and that's one of the things that gives the clients the opportunity to see a destination and relax at the end, or relax first and then do the cruise. Is
there a particular place that you would recommend combining the two, because it's perhaps quite far away, you may have to do a long flight, you could do a cruise instead maybe?
Absolutely, there are many destinations. Some of the more popular ones are things like, as I mentioned before, Alaska and the Canadian Rockies, people going out towards doing a transatlantic and then doing a tour around the old heritage of America region and various areas, and that there are many parts of the world that people do that in.
What would you say the difference is between Collette and other tour providers in the market doing the same thing that you do?
One of the key things that we look at is we look at having multiple night stays in a location. People don't like to pack and unpack too often, so the multiple night stays, included dining, and that's quite an important part. Certainly individuals who want to do cruising understand that, including a lot of the key sightseeing and seeing things that you would normally see on a tour. And certainly from our perspective from the UK, we do take people from their home to the airport as well by private transfer as well.
I can see that appealing to the cruise market, because people there are being entertained, they've been provided for. You're doing a similar kind of thing, aren't you? But is it going to cost me a little bit extra if I want to do sightseeing, things like that?
The majority of what we do is we include all the key things that people would normally pay extra for. And I suppose what we tend to include things that people would want to do, and then have the things that people may want to do on their own leisure. So some of the more expensive items like flight seeing tours or kayaking down the rapids in the Canadian Rockies. So that's the type of thing that people...
Is that what you did when you went?
I have done that, yes, many years ago, and certainly a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I would imagine quite exhilarating.
Yes, indeed.
So if I'm on my escorted holiday, I've decided I want to book, and I think perhaps you might be a little bit flexible about extending my tour or something like that, or doing something different once I'm already out with you. Is that possible?
Absolutely. I mean, we tend to extend our products quite a lot, and always booking through a good company is one of the key things, but this is where they can come into their own, and you can make your holiday your own. So adding extra nights, whether it be at the end of a New England tour to New York, or whether it be at the end of our tour in California and finishing off in Vegas. That's the type of thing that people want to do, and they want to experience. So that's what we give the opportunity to do.
What about younger members of the family? You mentioned your youngest hasn't gone on an escorted tour as yet. Is it the kind of thing that families, because we talk a lot about family cruising holidays and packages generally on this program, is escorted tours the right thing to do for a family, do you think?
Certainly there are those who do it, and I have no aversion to say that my son and I and my family we hopefully in a couple of years we're going to go on our first family escorted tour, but the people do choose to go on with their children. It gives them the chance, certainly for their children, to expand their knowledge in a certain destination. Certainly a tour is one that we see a number of children going on, certainly the more adventurous destinations.
Yeah, so perhaps choose your location and itinerary carefully if you've got family in mind.
And certainly getting the right advice from the right company is one of the key things, but certainly we do have a number of travellers who are younger members of the market.
Now, one of the things that occurred to me when I was talking to you about escorted tours then is it sounds like it might be a useful holiday or an appropriate holiday for people who are elderly or infirm or disabled. What advice would you give for people watching who perhaps want to take an escorted tour but maybe need a little extra help than usual?
Sure. What I would suggest is pick the companies that match your needs. So if you are completely wheelchair bound or need assistance, there are companies out there that do that. Most touring companies will take travellers who require some assistance, and as long as, in our case, we sort of say make sure that you can embark and disembark off the coach and you have somebody who you travel with. Okay. And that's one of the key things that we look for. Most of our travellers do take their either the wheelchairs so that their travelling companion can take them around in most locations.
So as usual on this programme, we often talk about being prepared before you go and choose your accommodation or your holiday. Very much the same in this case too.
Absolutely. Make sure that you choose the right product, the right destination that is right for you. Look at the pace of the destination. If it's too quick, if you're spending one night here, one night there, it's not going to be suitable for you. But where you're looking at a destination where you've got more multiple night stays, and certainly ask the tour operator to accommodate for having lower floor rooms, having other amenities that you would require to get in your room, or whether it be on tour as well.
Okay. Now, Dan Sullivan is the owner of Collette Worldwide.
Sure.
Now, and he has a foundation, doesn't he? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, Dan started off about 4 years ago. He started off a foundation where it was all employee driven, and where we raised money for children's based charities around the world. And we source the foundations, and then we support them by raising money on our own. And so he has about 20 projects around the world, ranging from Africa to North America and Asia, and certainly South America. So they range from orphanages through to things like the Mother Teresa Foundation in India. So they vary from various parts of the world.
What kind of a guy is he like? Obviously sounds very charitable, but have you met him and chatted to him?
Absolutely. Dan comes over to Britain many times in a year, and he's very much about the people, and that's the one thing that attracted me to the company, is that he wants to ensure that the people who travel with a company are looked after, and certainly he's very much all about everybody that we take on the tours.
I think travelling and having a holiday, if you're on your own, is a whole half-hour programme, isn't it, really?
Absolutely.
But it just occurred to me that potentially if you wanted to go and meet with a group of people, like-minded people, for example, who want to go and look at a particular thing and get the most out of it on an escorted trip, this might be one of the best ways of doing it.
Absolutely, and certainly meeting with like-minded people is one thing. The type of travellers we take, we've created so many friendships around the world with travellers, and that's one of the key things that does happen on an escorted tour, is that you create some wonderful friendships around the world, whether it be with our travellers from America, Canada or Britain, but you tend to create friends all around the world, and that's the advantage of an escorted tour as well.
Okay, now I'm looking forward to asking this particular question.
Okay.
Because we've got an exclusive package to the Holiday and Cruise channel for our viewers today. Tell us about that.
It's a package where it's a no-fly, which is unusual for us because all of our products are fly, but through the Holiday and Cruise channel we are doing a no-fly transatlantic cruise, and it's then taking our Heritage of America tour, starting in New York, finishing in Washington DC, and then cruising back to Britain, and that's going next September. So certainly I'm sure yourselves will be able to explore that and certainly get people to see a destination without having to fly, which some people don't like to do.
Absolutely, it's good to have the option anyway.
Absolutely,
isn't it? Definitely.
Yes.
Good. Well, we'll have more details about that on our website, holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. But Raj, thanks very much for talking to us about escorted tours today. Really interesting, and just another type of holiday that you can travel on and enjoy yourself. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed,
telling
Phil.
us about it today. No problem at all. And a quick reminder before we go about our free cruise guides. Here they are. Got another one now, Guide to Family Cruising, with a whole load of useful questions and answers in them. If you'd like either one or both, they're both free. For a copy of either or both, you can call 0871 423 4444. Calls will cost you 10p a minute from a BT landline, and calls from other networks and mobiles may vary. Well, that's all we've got time for on today's edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. Until next time, from myself, Phil Hilton, goodbye for now.